My name's Emma. I'm one of the co-founders of Haulsale. I manage operations and customer service and being around. And my co-founder, Kat, some of you guys have had a chance to meet or see on social media. She's the developer. Another co-founder of ours, Justin, is here in the chat tuning in. He manages our marketing and finance and business development. And then also here with us is our intern, Julia, who, if you see our social media and you think it's beautiful, that's all Julia. She's a Depop seller, so she really knows what she's doing, and she's here to help moderate some of the chat here tonight. And I'm here with Casey, who I'm pretty sure almost everybody here knows as rockstarflipper. He's been a tremendous partner to us getting Haulsale set up. I was taking a look at the responses. I was taking a look at the responses in the sort of like sign up survey, and it seemed like around half of the people that signed up for this hadn't actually created their Haulsale account or been on the site just yet. So I'm gonna talk about the site both in depth for people who have been on it before and kind of more in general for people who might not have been on it before. So we'll get into that, but Casey, maybe you wanna give a little introduction, even though perhaps you need no introduction.
Yeah, what's up, guys? Thank you so much for taking the time. I know it's Friday night. So Emma put all this together. We did put a lot of work and effort into kind of syncing this up over the last couple of days. We wanted to give everybody an opportunity because I know some of you are in the Zoom chat and some of you over on YouTube. You'll be able to watch these replays if you missed any part of it or if you joined late. So don't worry, we'll make sure that you have that. Yeah, Haulsale's been a project that we've been working on the better part of this year, even the beginning of last year. Kat has been putting in, you guys don't see a lot of Kat because she's putting in the endless hours behind the computer, improving the site, coding, just getting all the features out that are important, everything that you guys have been telling us, which is why these chats are so important because we get your feedback. And you guys know I've been running a wholesale site for the last, before I met Emma, 2 years through Shopify. A lot of you were my customers, you bought, you sold. And this is a way to just get it bigger and better and give you more options and more listings and more lots and faster ways to sell your own inventory. And so part of what we want to do here tonight is if you're new, you don't know how to use Haulsale, you've never, maybe you have a ton of inventory, you have death piles, stuff that you want to get out of there. How easy is it? How do you use it? What do you do? Where do you start? Emma's going to give you a great demo. I know one of the questions was about the Google Play Store or finding it online. Not an app yet, but it's definitely going to be coming, right? So in the meantime, if you are one of those people that had not signed up for the account yet, we saw you. If you're watching YouTube, there's a link below. You can use that. And if you're on Zoom, I think Julia's putting the link in the chat for you. So go sign up. It's free. It takes like 30 seconds. Just click on it, get signed up, and you'll be all set up. And then we'll talk about the rest of the site when Emma does the demo, some of the questions that you guys had, including the shipping, some of the updates, all that sort of stuff. But go ahead, either now or after the show and use that link or grab it, copy it, and save it in your notepad, bookmark it, whatever you have to do so you can sign up for the account when we're done here. We
mentioned that if you haven't created an account just yet, you can sign up at those links that are both in the chat and the YouTube description. If you have already created an account, I'm extremely pleased to inform you that we have a whole new login system as of today. We definitely got some constructive criticism on how our old login system was not the most functional or useful for anyone. And we want to just thank you again for bearing with us during that single code sign-on thing. Really, the reason we had that set up was because it was an extremely secure method of managing people's accounts that we could launch right away without having to build our own mechanism or database. So it was a little bit tricky, especially if you were trying to get onto it on a mobile device, clicking into it from your email. So we really appreciate you toughing it out. And as of today, you can go in there and set just a traditional password like you would on most other sites, and you don't have to do that whole get a code from your email thing. So thanks for bearing with us. But I wanted to tell you guys, sort of walk you through step by step how you can get started on the site. If you already are familiar with the general process of adding stuff to the site, I hope you'll still learn something from this as I can show you sort of in depth, step by step, maybe things you hadn't noticed about the uploader. And also you can see some of the new features that we've added in the last couple of weeks. So we have a couple new exciting things, some things that maybe make it a little easier and also that can help you control costs in terms of shipping too. I'm gonna go ahead and get started, and open up my screen share. I'm going to start on desktop, move over to mobile for a little bit, come on back to desktop. So I'm sharing right now the sort of homepage of Haulsale. Once you've created your account and signed in, you'll see a dashboard that looks similar to this one, but empty. And I wanted to just give you a tour of where some of the important features of the site live on this website. So you'll see here right now we have this banner that says ready to start shopping, and that brings you over to our shop page. As you guys might know, for the last couple weeks since we first opened this site in its earliest form, we've been kind of keeping this a little bit under wraps. We didn't want this to become like totally accessible to the public, and that's why it's hard to find via Google and without a special link. Basically, like Casey has mentioned, Kat is one developer. She's super busy working on features and debugging and building things out. And so we really needed to control how many people were on the site so that we could help and address all their issues kind of one by one as they came in. But now we've reached a point where we're really happy with how everything's going and we're ready to open it up a lot wider. So very soon when you go to haulsale.com, you will go right to the shop page, and I'll show you that in a little bit. But for now, when you go through login, you end up on a landing page, My Lots, and this is the place where you will manage anything that you sell. There are some other places on the website that you should be aware of. If you are a seller or a buyer, you can send messages. I don't have anything queued up in here, but on any given listing, there's a button to message the seller with a question. And if you send or receive messages, they're stored here. We have an option to watch lots. So if there are lots that you're interested in their auction, you can heart them and they will remain here on your dashboard. And then we have your account settings. So there's a couple different things that live here on this page. And generally when you see your name and a little image, you can assume that that has to do everything to do with your account. So we have a profile here where we wanted, a lot of people using our site are prefer to operate under their business name, and that's totally fine. And so what we ask is that you provide us with your real name for like shipping purposes, but you can offer a display name. So this is what would actually appear on your profile. I can show you guys what it looks like, the profile page quickly. One moment here. So you can see that there is a designated page where all of the lots that I have listed live. This is very useful if you are someone who's selling multiple lots with us at once, and perhaps you have your own sort of audience or social media following or friends that might be interested in purchasing from you. You can share this URL and it will bring you directly to all of your lots on our website and no others. So that's a new feature that we introduced recently that maybe you didn't catch, and you can create a custom display name so that that shop page doesn't just have user ID, whatever. The other settings that are contained on this page are just your general first, last name, street address. There's my phone number, text me if you want. Your payment methods, we ask you to add the credit card that you would like to have any bids that you place be charged to. And then importantly, we ask you to attach a payout account. We manage our payments through a third-party processor called Stripe. It's one of the largest payment processors out there. It's kind of neck and neck with PayPal in terms of websites that run their payment processing through it. Extremely secure, extremely well regarded, and we direct you basically to an external manager with Stripe. So all of your data is stored securely in Stripe. Through this button here, you get to it. So you connect account, add a bank account, and when you sell a lot, your proceeds will be directly deposited to your account there. And then finally on this page, we have the transactions record. So I haven't conducted too much business on here. I've been too busy managing everybody else's transactions. But when you make a purchase, you'll see a record of it here. When you make a sale, you'll see a record here. And when you've placed a bid on a lot that is currently active, you'll see it here. One of the things that we really are working to expedite here is to make it so that you're receiving instantaneous email notifications around these transactions. Currently, data is displayed on your dashboard, and you can always reach out to me for clarification on any transactions that maybe aren't appropriately reflecting here. We've noticed some glitches and kinks in terms of pieces of information maybe not updating appropriately. And it's always, you're totally welcome to reach out to me with any questions or concerns, and I try and get back to you as soon as humanly possible. I see a note from Donna about how quickly do we get paid after selling lots, and that's a great question. Right now, we have it that we give the buyer basically 3 days to report from when the lot is delivered. Using tracking information, we record when the lot's delivered. We give the buyer 3 days to report that either they didn't receive the shipment, it was damaged, or there are things missing from the shipment. We don't, all of our lots are sold as is. So the buyer protection policy is quite specific in terms of what it covers. The biggest thing that it covers is a quantity guarantee. So if something's missing from the shipment, something that was advertised in the manifest is not included in your lot, you are eligible for buyer protection, and we give several days for the buyer to report that. I see some raised hands, and I'll come to you guys in just a second. On that 5th day is when we pay out to the seller. So either the 5th day or when we've received confirmation that the transaction was successful and the buyer is satisfied with their lot, which as soon as the thing arrives, they get an email asking them, what do you think about the lot? And they have the opportunity to reply. Once a successful reply is recorded, you get paid out right away. Or if we get no reply, it gets paid out on the 4th or 5th day. This is a period of time that we want to condense as soon as possible. However, we are a super small company doing things for the first time, and we don't really have data yet on how often these discrepancies are happening, how often things are going missing. And it's going to be probably a little while here, probably on the order of months, before we get big enough that we can confidently lower that window without being at too much risk to ourselves. So we really appreciate you guys being patient with what we recognize is a long payout window. I hope that answers that question. I'm going to just take a peek at some raised hands I noticed. One moment here. I'm not sure actually if I can view raised hands while I'm screen sharing, which is not awesome. Okay, here, 2 raised hands. So Don had a question. Don, do you want to maybe add your question in the chat? And then at the end, we're going to open it up for Q&A on voice where everybody can chime in. So if you want to add something in the chat, I'll try and get to it as I go. And then for everybody else, we'll do a Q&A session at the end here. So that is the account dashboard. The next thing I want to show you guys is how you actually begin adding your lots for sale. And then we'll look at how you buy lots after I go through some of the different methods that you can use. I'm going to stop sharing my screen right now and switch over to mobile so that you guys can see how the upload process works on a cell phone. So it works equally well on cell phone and on desktop. And hopefully I can show you guys how smooth it is on both platforms. Never sold lots before and I get nervous. Interested in trying. That's awesome. So let's show you how you can get started and try that. Right now, I'm on the My Lots page, which as you can see is a mobile version of that desktop that you saw earlier. I've already submitted a lot and you can see that it's live and doesn't have any bids. Please feel free to bid on it. I have a lot in draft that I'm not quite ready to submit. And I have another one that I'm going to show you how to work on with that one. You can create a new lot simply by hitting create lot, and you're going to be presented with 3 different options of how you can create a listing. If you signed on maybe a couple days ago even, and from the beginning, we had this system where we were kind of trying to filter you into one type of listing versus another and asked you some questions, but it was kind of overly convoluted and confusing. And now we just want you to pick which type of listing you want to make. So we give you the option to choose between an itemized listing, a collection listing, and a spreadsheet import. Many of you have heard us mention how we offer itemized listings. We've built a super way to basically list each piece that's included in the lot with just the bare minimum info, but so that your buyer gets an itemized manifest of exactly what's coming in their lot. We also offer the option to document your lot as a collection, which means that you're going to give images and description of the lot as a whole rather than piece by piece itemized. This listing format still very good. We still require a lot of detail, but it doesn't give that same level of transparency that the itemized might give. And we hope that, oops, I turned my phone. We hope that by giving you the itemized version, you'll be able to command an even higher price at auction. And then finally, we have a spreadsheet import option. So I'm going to get into this one in detail because I think it's quite useful for sellers who have existing listings from other platforms that they want to bundle up and sell as one thing on Haulsale. So what I want to show you on the mobile is an itemized lot. I click into this and you'll see that it prompts me to add my first item. It's important that you recognize when you've clicked on this that we're asking you for information about just one item at a time. It might sound like, oh, that might take me a while, but actually you'll see that the information that we require about any given item is not so much at all and shouldn't take you more than 5 seconds per piece. I'm going to return to my lots and actually pick up where I left off in a draft lot. So I have this lot going where I'm trying to sell some of my mom's coats. She has a lot of coats. And you can see that I added several items already. It took me about 5 seconds to add each of these coats, and I added minimal information. I left, and now I'm coming back and I'm adding another item, and I want to show you how quick it is to add that item. So I'm going to type in here that I have a ladies leather zip-up jacket. It's important to recognize that the person who's buying this is another reseller who's going to turn around and flip it. They're not actually somebody who's going to buy that jacket and wear it for themselves, most likely. Who knows, you might love it. So you don't need the same level of detail that you would need in a Poshmark listing where you have to have measurements, you have to have specifics. Instead, you just have to indicate a few things, and I'll show you what they are. So I only have one of this jacket. If I had more, let's say I was selling multiple versions of the same shirt, I could at this point indicate that I have more than one item and enter the quantity. I don't, so I'm going to keep going. It's going to ask me to add at least one photo. Like I said, we're giving minimal information here, and I will show you that you only need one image at this point. It's not the end user who's buying, but just a reseller. I have a couple options here. I can take an image directly. So let's say I wanted to take a photo of myself. You'll see I have the option to take that right away. I'm going to cancel that. You can see that I can access from my photo library, and this is where I can pull into my camera roll. And I'm going to add an image from my camera roll. You guys can see that I was visiting with Diane earlier this week and took some pictures. I'm going to upload another one just because I have it easily accessed. And I'm going to throw on one that just shows the label so people know what they're getting. I'm going to hit next. This is in very good condition, never worn, but doesn't have the tags. And then I'm going to enter in the only piece of required information at this point. It's a Kenneth Cole reaction jacket. And I'm not required to put in a size, but I know it. It's an XL. So I'm going to put that in here. You have options to add things like measurements, weight, SKU, meaning where you keep it in your inventory system, or any other notes, but those are not required. So I can just go ahead and hit finish. I don't need to add another item. That's all I wanted to do. So I can hit back to lot. And now it's time to submit the lot as a whole. You submit it for review. We want to keep this platform as screened, as managed as possible. We want to make sure that high quality goods are coming in at reasonable prices, something that we're all getting better at. And when you submit your lot, it gets processed for review, and we try and approve it within 24 hours and list it to the site, or get back to you with improvements that need to be made. So I'm going to submit the lot. I have the option to give it a title or description. If not, as we review it, we'll actually put those details in for you. So if you don't feel the need to do this step, you don't have to. I'm going to say women's XL lightweight jackets. Oops, how do you spell lightweight?
L-I-G-H-T.
Yeah, not lightweight. Okay.
L-I-G-H-T.
And there's plenty of descriptions in each item, so I don't need to add supplemental description at this point. I'm not totally sure how much these jackets will sell for, but I could add in an estimated resale value if that's something that I wanted to give my buyer that information. And I think I want, like, I don't know, I just want these ones gone. So I'm going to put in $15. I can add an option to buy it now. If I don't, it'll just go up for auction or for 7 days. And then I can add shipping. So this is a fun new feature that's been added this week. Before, we asked our sellers to just add in a flat rate. Now we give you the option to put in parcel dimensions. So basically, how are you shipping the lot? Much like eBay, you enter in your dimensions, and then your buyer will see a calculated rate. So that's going to be really important to bring prices down for buyers. So if you are a buyer and you visited our site earlier and you said, wow, some of these flat rate shipping fees are perhaps a little high, you can now access calculated shipping on many of our listings. And all of them going forward, we're encouraging our sellers to do calculated. So I can add a parcel, add in the dimensions. I'm going to just randomly spitball here and say 12. Actually, I want height to be 6. I'm going to say 12 and 24. And I'm going to say the weight is 6. Now,
so while you're doing that, Believable Blessings just asked, she does a lot of vintage. Is there a place to be more descriptive than just the brand and the weight and length?
There is, yeah. So on the last screen that I was on, and I'm going to revisit this just so you can see it, there is an option to add in as many fields as you want on that screen, although they're not required. Let me just wrap up here, and then I'll go back and show you exactly where you can put in that information if you're a vintage seller, because I know that we have plenty of vintage sellers on this site. If I was shipping more than one parcel, because I'm shipping a large lot, I have the option to add in another one here, and they get billed together. And then finally, I can hit submit for review, and that will get pushed to us to review within 24 hours, and then we'll be live for auction. Because I want to go back and show you exactly where you can do that vintage information input, I'm going to go back to items and open up the item that I was just in. And I can show you where if I had measurements, I could put them here. If I wanted to describe anything else that's interesting about the vintage piece that might add to its value, I can do it here.
Yep.
Or I can go back to this condition rating, and let's say I had, it looks like maybe my screen is freezing here. On the condition page, if I were to select, there we go. If I were to select that it was in good condition with minor flaws, I have the opportunity to describe the flaws here. So you can use as much information as you want or as little information. If you do indicate that your item is less than perfect, we do require some clarification on what's wrong with it. And when you're considering as a reseller, what is the information that's important for you to know? You do want to know, how damaged is this item? Is it in need of repair? Will they always need to be reviewed before submitting? Yes. It's our plan that we are going to screen everything for acceptability and value. We don't want stuff that's has no value to be kind of clogging up the shop page for our buyers. We want buyers to know that this is a place that they can come for reliable inventory. So we are requiring a review period before each thing. It's important that we manage this platform. There are a lot of different unmanaged things out there which have all types of drawbacks around spam, unsafety, and we want to make sure that everything here is screened and appropriate. So I'm going to just bail out of this item quick, head back to my lot, which I can do, and I can submit this. So that's one example of how I'm going to just, oops, I lost my data there, my bad. That's a glitch for me to note. Ladies' jackets. I'm going to say my minimum bid is 15, and I'm going to submit for a review. So you'll see now that that's awaiting review on my dashboard. And it's a little bit of a lag behind me, but you will see. I'm going to switch away from mobile once this catches up to me, and I will switch to desktop. So did not know if after you become a trusted seller. So the concept of a trusted seller is very interesting and something that we want to flesh out. Part of why we built up a profile system is so that we can start to record records of how people are performing, if there's buyer satisfaction with their transactions, and eventually we do hope to create a trusted seller program. So I'm going to stop sharing here, maybe take a question or two about the itemized method before I show you how to document the collection. Did anybody want to type anything in the chat?
Yeah, I have a question from Aaron S. over on YouTube. Does the site accept reseller certificates for tax-free?
Excellent. Yeah, this is something that I have to discuss later in the presentation, but the short answer is not yet, but yes. We are not currently charging sales tax on our site because we know that the overwhelming majority of people buying from us are people who have reseller certificates, and you do not have to pay sales tax. So we do not want to charge you that sales tax until we have the infrastructure to actually appropriately record and collect your reseller certificates, something that we're working on in the near future. And for the time being, we're just paying the tax. So that's a nice little bonus if you want to be joining us in the interim until we get that set up. So inventory stays with the seller until shipped, correct? That is correct. Absolutely. Yes. You're going to be shipping it just like you would shipments for any other marketplace, whether it's Facebook Marketplace, eBay, Mercari. So let me quickly move over to sharing my desktop so you can see that the experience is very similar on desktop. And you'll be able to see how we manage a collection option. So let me head back to my lots. This is where I told you all of your lots live as a seller. And I'm going to start a new one so I can show you from the beginning how a collection lot would work. Right now, I'm going to select, instead of itemized, I've decided I have a collection that has so many things in it, I couldn't possibly document each one, and each one per value is not worth the time of documenting them itemized, and that's perfectly fine. We still accept those. So I'm going to select collection as an option on how to upload. In this case, I'm just going to grab my information here on exactly what I wanted to put in here. My bad, guys. Just 1 second here. Okay, fabulous. Thanks. Thanks so much. So I'm going to just grab exactly what I wanted to enter here. So I have a lot from actually one of our guests currently in the audience of a tremendous haul of gift cards. So I'm going to describe my title as 400 like new greeting cards with a mix. Your chat hasn't been showing, you're here. Okay. So it asks me very explicitly how many items are in my lot. That's because, as I mentioned before, we require a quantity guarantee for our buyer protection. If you're not sure how many items are in the lot because you have a tremendous number, we recommend that you pick the lowest number that you are certain is included and then indicate in the title that the lot actually includes more than that. So that's why I put 400 plus in my title. I'm going to indicate that there are 400 items in the lot and then make clear in the description that there's actually more than that. But what it means is that a buyer couldn't come back and say, hey, you said there were 500 and actually there are 495. We want to just round down to make sure that there's no question around the buyer protection guarantee. All of those conflicts, not that any have arisen so far, but they're solely in the discretion of Haulsale to resolve. And we definitely will take into consideration exactly what kind of materials are being sent. If it's unreasonable that somebody could categorize exactly how many are included, we'll work with you on a case-by-case basis for the time being. I see Don raised his hand. Is there something you want to throw in the chat, Don? And then we can come back to your question at the end. What is asked at the collection level is, how are all these items condition-wise in relation to one another? Are they all the same condition or are they not? If they're not, we just say, make sure you indicate in the description what's different, how many are good, how many are poor in terms of percentage, or roughly half are in very good condition, half are damaged, something like that. In this case, all of these items are in the same condition and it's very good, excellent, used with no flaws. I'm going to just grab the description I had prepared here. You can see it's pretty minimal in terms of what we require, but I give all the information that's relative to a buyer who's interested. So all the cards are unmarked, they're in perfect condition, they're for various holidays, various occasions, at least 400 are included. And I see that as far as pricing is concerned, is that at the seller's discretion? Yes, it is. And I'll show you exactly where you can add pricing in just a moment. And can lots be new or used or both? Absolutely. And they can be a mix as well. And that's why I showed you that condition rating. We have the option to say, you have more than one type of condition. We just ask that you truly explicitly say how many are in what condition in the description. Nice. So at this point, you'll notice this is a little bit different than the last screen we saw when we were doing the itemized collection. I'm asked now to put in 7 photos. So we ask for more because in this stage, you're documenting the entire pile, the entire collection as one. And obviously your buyer is going to need more than just one image when you're talking about 400 plus items. Lots should be similar items. We'll see. Right now, many people intuitively have been grouping their items similarly, like the one I'm making. But I don't think that there's any reason that you couldn't try mixing items in a lot to see if a reseller might bite. Plenty of people work across multiple categories and would be interested in a deal even if it's not their specialty. So I encourage you to give it a try, probably for sanity maybe. So I'm going to go ahead and attach some photos here. You'll see that the system is very similar to what was on my mobile version. And I'm going to go ahead and upload pictures that show how many are really there of this greeting card collection. You'll see that, oops, they're going to load here quickly. It takes a little bit. Oh, nice. Yeah, I'm so happy that we want to be the death pile eliminator. And it's great if you're really motivated to move something quickly, another reseller who has the capacity to take in more inventory and is looking for new inventory has an opportunity to get a great deal, right? So you'll see that the pictures that I included this one is not a good one, it's blurry, I'm going to lose it. But they include an overarching view of the whole collection. They include some snapshots of representative cards. They give an indication of the different types of cards that are included here. And I added more than 7 because I had plenty of things I wanted to document for my user, my buyer. I'm not going to upload any more photos at this point and just keep going. And now is the point where I can enter my price. So to that earlier question about sellers setting their own price, this is where we do it. You saw in the itemized version, you set that price when you go to submit the lot. So a little bit different here. And we're going to work on refining how you do it at the itemized level so it's not so hidden. I don't know for sure the estimated resale value of this lot, so I'm not going to put it in, but I'm going to go ahead and set a minimum price around $35. I haven't given a tremendous amount of thought to this, so don't quote me on how much this is worth at this moment. I can add the option to buy it now if I like, and I can add shipping. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and add some parcels. I'm going to guess that this thing can ship in a box that is something like 18 by 18 by 24, make some layers, stack it all in there. So I'm going to go 18, 18, 24. I'm going to assume that that would weigh something like 12 pounds. It's important that you are measuring this. So I'm spitballing right now. I'm just doing this for the sake of demo. But what's important is if you don't have this information ready on hand as you first create the listing, you can leave at any time and come back to it with those dimensions when you have it in your draft will have saved. So no worries there. Yeah, you do gotta have a scale. So I'm gonna add a second parcel because I think maybe I need more than one box. Let's say this one was like a 6 by 12 by 12. And this one maybe weighed a little less, something like 9 pounds of dense cards packed together. Now my listing, when the calculated shipping appears to my buyer, it'll include the shipping for both these parcels. Is calculated shipping USPS or do we check multiple carriers? We absolutely check multiple carriers. We use a system called Shippo, which maybe some of you guys are familiar with, and it gets corporate discounts on all of the available shipping providers and picks the best one. If the buyer has only a PO address, it will pick only USPS. So that's something that the buyer should be conscious of because obviously UPS doesn't deliver to USPS. But for everybody else, it scans all of the available carriers and gets you the best rate. So it'll by default pick the cheapest one. We are looking into doing maybe more of like a Mercari method, like where the seller gets to indicate which options they're interested in providing. Right now, we don't have the infrastructure to support that, but it's definitely possible. Mercari actually uses Shippo, so we're using the exact same shipping infrastructure that Mercari uses. We just have one developer instead of $50 million worth of developers to build that out. So it's going to take us a little bit before we have the option for sellers to indicate which services they're interested in. Now, by default, it'll offer the buyer the cheapest one. So that's great. What people have been doing to calculate their flat rate has been typically using like pirate ship estimates, and Shippo's rates are always at the pirate ship level or lower. They're at these corporate account levels. So you're always going to be getting the lowest rate. I'm going to hit next. I'm going to have an option to review. I'm going to just double check everything's how I like it. And I'm going to submit it. Awesome. So I've now done 2 out of the 3 ways you can make a lot. We're getting a little tight on time, so I just want to make sure that we keep questions to the end. But I'm going to create just the 3rd and final way that you can make a lot so you can see how it works. And this will be beneficial if you're somebody who has a cross-posting or existing listing record. So the built-in one is, the one on the site is built in and existing currently. You can go ahead and use that right now. So the final way that you can add things to the site, if let's say you have listings already made for the items that you want to bundle up and put on wholesale, is to upload a spreadsheet. So I'm going to quickly show you how that works. Things to keep in mind are that this process works best when you produce a spreadsheet that has image URLs. And actually the way to get those image URLs the easiest is from a cross-posting service. So you can bring in listings from anywhere. You can export them from eBay, you can export them from Poshmark, and there's a full guide here on how to do that from all of those platforms. But you'll actually get the fastest and best results if you bring over your listings from a platform like List Perfectly or Vendoo or InkFrog, because those exports contain image URLs and they get automatically uploaded. So I'm going to show you what that looks like in a listing, and then I'm going to show you all of these on the shop page, how these listings look, and show you how you can buy. So I'm going to go ahead and pick out my demo file here. So it's currently compatible with List Perfectly, which is great. One of the questions was, will this be compatible with List Perfectly down the road? It's currently compatible in that you can export your listings from List Perfectly and import them via Spreadsheet. So what I just did was attach a spreadsheet that contained listings that actually came from List Perfectly originally. And now I'm going to map those fields to basically what were the titles of the columns from my List Perfectly export and match them to the same titles or the same category of information as we have in Wholesale. So we call it an item name. List Perfectly called it a name. The quantity of the item that we want to know is in a field called quantity on my spreadsheet. My photos live under a heading called item photos. It might be different depending on where you're getting it, but generally you want to be matching it with the column that has to do thematically with the one that you see on the left. So what you see on the left, you want to go label the column from your spreadsheet that you added on the right. And you'll see that the dropdown actually includes all of the columns that were on the spreadsheet that I imported. If my import spreadsheet had different ones, these would be different. So right now I'm looking at SKU. This is something that's actually just for the seller's reference. It won't be included in the listing, but for your reference, if you need to know where the inventory is at in order to pull it when this sells and bundle it up, you can label that here. I can indicate a condition. I can indicate for my own reference what the MSRP was. That'll help me calculate what I want to charge for my whole lot. I have the option to put in brand. And I could add in descriptions if I wanted. I don't have any in this particular spreadsheet. I'm going to confirm the fields and you'll see it's uploading. Don't close out of this. Let it upload. It takes just a couple minutes. You'll see that it's cycling through things. One thing to note is if you do not have a cross-posting software, you can absolutely still bring your listings into Wholesale. You need to make sure that the spreadsheet that you upload represents only the items you want to include in one lot. So each spreadsheet upload equals a lot is one way to think about it. You'll see that you can actually remove items later if you need, but it's best to manage your spreadsheet prior to importing it. That'll probably go a little bit faster. If you do not have item photos, URLs, image URLs included in the export, because let's say you brought it from eBay and eBay doesn't want you to take your images, they own your images. You can instead add them after the fact. So what will happen is the information from the spreadsheet will get compiled into the description field, and then you will attach the images after the fact. When the images do come in with the spreadsheet, you'll see here how they produce individual items. So I'm now directed to this new lot that appeared on my page where I put in the spreadsheet. And you can see that for each row in my spreadsheet, an item was created. So each of these existed in List Perfectly as a listing. They were cross-posted previously to eBay and Mercari. Now they've been taken off of those platforms, bundled up into one lot to be sold on Wholesale. If I need to make changes to any of them, I can click in, use the back button to navigate and change anything about it. So let's say I wanted to add additional photos, I could do that here. I can head back to the lot, make changes that I need, and then go through the process of submit lot again. And this is where I would put in a title and description if I want. Again, not required. I'm going to put in some information about exactly what's contained in here just for the buyer's benefit. So I'm saying something about how there's $2,000 worth of gross sales available in here, 36 different products, just so that we have it easily scannable to the buyer. What's good to note is that we aren't keyword sensitive just yet. eBay wants keywords up the wazoo on your listings and on your titles. At this point, we're planning on using a tagging system for searchability. So rather than give extremely descriptive or word heavy titles, it's better to give something that's easily scanned by the buyer. Think more like what you'd see on an estate sale website in terms of how to title these lots than an eBay listing. I can add in more descriptions. I'm going to put in a minimum price of like $125 here, and then I can add shipping as we showed earlier and submit for review. So I've now added lots through the 3 different ways that you can add to Wholesale. And now I want to show you what they look like as a buyer. Then I'll get quickly into some of the features we have on the way and take some questions. We won't take you too long late on this Friday night. And I know we want to do an auction or a raffle at the end too. So I'm going to go over, I can find my lots two different ways. I can go see them on the shop page. I'm going to show you what that shop page looks like now as a buyer. I cannot click on it because my Zoom thing's in the way. No, here we go. So you can see that there are many different items here for sale right now. I can filter them categorically. I can sort them by ending and price. This is taking a little bit of time to load. But the other way I can see my lots in particular is from the actual listing on my dashboard. I can say, I want to see the preview. The preview is going to bring me to exactly what the shop page looks like to a buyer. So you can see now what an itemized listing looks like to a buyer, and you can see that it gives them all the information they need. Right now, this lot isn't live just yet. There's a little bit of a delay in between when it gets submitted, approved, and posted, just a couple hours, 24 hours for approval, and then a couple hours for it to go live. I could place a bid if it was live. I could watch the lot. I could message the seller. And you'll see that I have a quantity of 1 for each of these jackets. If the pieces in here, I had like 25 of the same shirt, we'd say quantity 25, and the total number of units would reflect the full number quantity of all the items rolled up into one quantity. So you can see that the brand is available, the conditions available, the size is here, and now all 4 of these jackets are what I am bidding on when I place a bid. I want to give you an example of what the collection looks like when you upload it. I'm going to hit preview to show you this collection that I made. You can see here that there's more detail provided because there aren't the individual items from the itemized listing. So itemized gives you item by item detail. Here we give you lot detail as a whole. And you can see that all of the images I put up are there. I can click into them and give a full screen option, although I'm not sure Zoom will let me show you that. But on your own desktop, you'll be able to see full screen. You can see the condition, the total items, and you can even see more lots from this seller. So if you wanted to go through and see all of my lots on my page, that's where you find them. So you can place bids, you can buy it now, and the shipping rate that you see here is calculated based on your zip code. So whatever zip code you put in on your account creation, by default, you're going to see that rate on the shipping available field here. The last thing I wanted to show you is how that itemized spreadsheet upload looks in a listing. It is currently awaiting review, and I wonder if Julia, do you mind popping in there and approving that for me? Oh, reload, good. Yeah, let me do that. Fantastic, there it is. Lot approved, auction starts soon, and I'm going to preview it. And here you can see that it produced the same itemized type of listing. Because I had an item for each row, I now see that I have 28 L'Oreal Paris Color Caress. I have 2 L'Oreal nail polishes, and so on and so forth. I can click in to see these images larger. I can view details of the lot as a whole here, and I can see the total number of units. You can see this is where it rolled up. So I can place a bid, buy it now. I didn't add shipping here, so you'll see that it's just available for pickup here at my mom's house in West Hartford. So those are the 3 different listing styles that you'll see based on the option that you pick at the beginning. I want to quickly touch on a few other features that are on the way. And first, I thought maybe I'd throw up a poll here to ask how many people are actually using a cross-posting tool right now. So this will help us get a sense of how frequently are our users able to bring in those CSV options. So I'm going to go ahead and throw that up right now. And if you guys want to tell us, are you using a cross-posting service right now that would allow you to easily export? And then I'm also interested to know from eBay or Amazon, are you familiar with how to get a spreadsheet out of those systems to then bring it to us? I want to know how familiar you guys are with that and how much information I should be giving. Okay, cool. So I'm going to give you guys just a second to answer that. And then I wanted to touch on a few things we have coming, and then we'll jump into questions. So some of the things that I showed you guys tonight include the shop page. I'm going to go back and bounce onto that so you can take a look at exactly what I'm referring to here.
Lots of people looking into List Perfectly on the YouTube channel. Yeah, I know that now for you too uses list perfectly. Aaron looking into LP, definitely, I mean, cross listing, getting your stuff in front of more platforms, and then of course using wholesale to sell off the rest of the inventory. Macari would give me a spreadsheet. Aaron, unfortunately, I don't use Macari, so I'm not real familiar. I've never, a lot of people use Macari with a lot of great success. I just have never, I had a really bad experience in the beginning, not personally, but a lot of my viewers had bad experiences and they would always send it to me. So I was constantly getting bombarded with negative Macari messages and emails. And so I was just like, man, if I'm getting this much, I'm definitely not, it just rubbed me the wrong way. And so I never did. Like, I'm sure it's a perfectly fine site, but yeah.
It's true that there are some serious spam issues on there. And that's one of the reasons we want wholesale to be so managed, is so that you're not getting hit with constant.
Yeah.
And the other thing is we want to really limit how much people are trying to lowball you through messaging, all those things. So by managing this platform, we can limit that. So you'll see we're about a 50-50 split. So for those of you who aren't familiar with exporting spreadsheets, I encourage you, when you get started on that lot, you'll see that there's a how-to link. So like, I want to add my spreadsheet, you can click into how-to. It's on our blog, and there's a whole list of, from eBay, here's how you export, from Amazon, here's how you export, so on and so forth. So a few things that are changing about the site in coming weeks include an improved search functionality. We've made our search a little bit better. If you were with us from the very beginning when we opened this up, you probably noticed that shoes would return tablecloths, and makeup would return hand sanitizer, and we're getting better and better at that, and it's only improving. It's kind of a learning curve for us, but we are really confident in our ability to catch up to regular standards of search, and we're going to be doing that soon. You'll notice that we have kind of limited categories at this time. We have plenty of subcategories that we're going to be introducing as we've got more and more lots to flesh out those subcategories. Those are going to be on the way. You'll see that you have the option to search by zip code, so that's great. We might do a little bit of shuffling around of exactly where these elements live on the page in the coming weeks, so that it's a little bit more obvious how to use it. Great. And there's also here a way that you can sort the items. We are going to add in a number of other ways that you can sort. So currently we've got recently added ending soonest, low to high, high to low. What we're going to include is most popular, best value based on that resale value versus the offer. We're going to have, so most popular would be most bids. And then we're also going to have a recently price dropped feature. So if you came in and prices were higher than you'd hoped, you can check in to see recently price dropped things very soon. Awesome. The other little features that I wanted to make sure you guys knew what we're working on are that we're going to have more detailed transaction records available, and also have those available for mass download. So for your own accounting systems, you'll be able to bring in the records as a seller of exactly what you sold, and even as a buyer, what you purchased for your cost of goods for future reselling of those items. We're going to add live shipping and payout tracking to the dashboard, so that you can see where's your package that you sent or bought, and also where's your payout. Those are on the way, probably within a month to 2 months. We're going to have SMS updates, so you can opt in to get text message alerts when you have either been outbid, when an auction you were interested in is closing, when you made a sale, or when you won an auction. All those pieces of information will be available by text if you wish. We're going to have also some marketing features in place that will help increase the sell-through rate and make it easier for buyers to find what they want. So in addition to that searchability, we're also going to be putting in email reminders around, hey, you watched a lot, it's ending now, don't forget to go submit your bid before the auction ends. Obviously, that's pretty helpful. Not in place just yet, but will be soon. We're going to be doing really targeted email marketing based on geography and interest. So when people have indicated either by shopping patterns or by surveys that they're interested in certain categories and certain geographic areas, like based on where they're based, they'll be getting email marketing of your lots as they're added to the site. So we do want to do active advertising for you as part of our service to you as one of our sellers. And then we touched on it earlier, but we are going to be introducing a reseller certificate system where we can store that, so that if you are recorded as having a valid reseller certificate stored in your account, sales tax is not added to any of your purchases. And we'll make a big announcement when that's available for you to add those things. So I'm going to just throw up one more poll, because I would really love to know what you guys think is the most exciting about those features. I'm going to throw that up here quick, and I would love to know what you think is going to be cool. coming in the next couple weeks. And I figured what we could do is take a couple questions, and then we can do a drawing based on who's attending with us tonight. And we will just do a random number and then pick somebody. So
Host and panelists cannot vote on the poll or quiz. That's not fair.
that isn't fair. Well, you can, well, how about you tell us, which ones are you interested in?
Which of these features most excited me? So in general, and this was with my Shopify store before we merged with Wholesale, the thing that definitely like for me is being able to watch lots and see who's interested and being able to see what closes and what's bought and sold. Transactions and sales and all that sort of stuff are definitely really fun for me. The other thing I think my audience was most excited about is the subcategories, because I have people that buy clothes, I have people that buy electronics or toys, and so that is clutch for them to just go right for what you know. They're not interested in clothes; they want to see everything else, or they don't like anything but clothes, or they just like shoes, whatever that might be. So that was the biggest feedback I think that I got, was being able to search and filter stuff down. Updates from Wholesale for me, anything that I do business with or any website really. I'm an email freak. I've always been an email freak. Emma probably knows that by now. I forget my Instagram messages constantly, so that's really bad. My Facebook messages I'm pretty good about. I just started TikTok, so don't distract me on TikTok. I'm trying to learn. And as big as I am on YouTube, yeah, as big as I am on YouTube, for me, it's more of a projection platform. Like it's me giving rather, like I get comments. Sure, I get hundreds of comments. I try to respond to as many as I can, but it's overwhelming to me. So like my one-on-one thing and my nightly routine when we sit in bed and watch our shows or fall asleep, I sit at my email and I answer every email. I have always answered every email every day, no matter what. My emails are cleared, and I get a lot. Trust me, I get a lot. And that's my thing. Email is really
asleep after doing so much emailing. I want to know.
Yes, I have fallen asleep with the laptop on my lap in bed with email still open and a half-typed answer to an email. Legitimately, I've fallen asleep like that. So I do. If anybody that's in this chat that emails me knows that I have a strict 24 to 48 hour period. I love email updates. I respond to every email. I check my spam box every night. It's just something that was like ingrained in me forever.
That's a healthy habit, one I'm aspiring to. I'm trying to get better and better as we respond to email queries. 48 hours sometimes happens, but we're working on it. And I aspire to be as prompt as Casey. So
I feel like my email has made me the most money over the years. So it kind of trained my brain of like, there might be money in your email. There might be customers. There might be most of my customer service issues. If somebody actually has an issue, they come through email. So
totally. So I see from Julia, who is going to our raffle, that she is leaving the place where she has internet. So she actually did the raffle before we finished the questions, and it looks like Donna at Net is going to win $50 in credit to the site so she can shop, and also one of Casey's reseller and social media targets.
Donna, if you want to email me, I'll put it in the chat. Just email me rockstarflipper@gmail.com so I can respond with the training package. Emma, how's she going to get your?
Same thing, via email. So one of the things that we haven't built out just yet, because it's not the most important feature, is how to redeem coupon codes. So actually what's going to happen is you're going to just tell me what you want and I'm going to discount it manually. Very soon we'll have coupon codes in place, but for right now, Donna, that's a way that you can do it. It's just email me. I'm going to remember your name. Of course, I'll reach out to you if I don't hear from you tonight, but we'll get it set up. So let's take some more questions. We have a couple more minutes, hopefully, before people have to jump. I know we went a little long. I am happy if you want to raise your hand. I can add your audio if you want to ask a question out loud, and then I'll go back and just see what the questions are like. So one here, are there fees for using the site? Yeah, and I'm sorry I didn't talk about that earlier. So it's Donna at Net. I'm sorry if I'm saying that last name wrong. But in terms of the fees, we do have a 15% fee on both the buyer and the seller, plus payment processing. So we based our fee structure around existing auction sites that you might see other than eBay, where it's pretty, Arnet, okay, there you go. Where it's fairly standard to have both the buyer and the seller premium. We are basically, as I mentioned, managing this platform with as much human oversight as we possibly can, and those fees go directly into that. And as we flesh out these features for you, we want to make sure that we're earning that 18% in terms of marketing your goods and also getting you the best quality inventory that you're not sifting through right directly to your email inbox. So that's one question, and I'm happy to expand on that if anybody wants. I saw a question earlier too that I wanted to just, before I miss it, about John was saying about a 1099. We actually picked Stripe as our payment provider because they manage that process for you. So absolutely, we picked that with that in mind. The $600 thing, we all know. What were you going to say, Casey? Did you have a question?
Diane, Diane just had a question. I'll read in a second, but I had a question over there earlier. I typed it in my phone. They wanted to know what kind of lots seem to be doing the best, what kind of sell-through rates, what kind of conversions are we seeing so far, without getting too much into the back end.
Well, full transparency, the conversions can only go up. We have built a site that is extremely bare bones with no marketing and a very clunky shop interface so far. In the last couple of days, we've made significant improvements to that shop page, which hopefully you'll notice if you had been on before and you come on now, and all those additional features that are going to work to increase sell-through rate in the next couple of weeks will help. We're seeing about a 20% sell-through rate in terms of new lots that are added, so that's not so bad. And the things that are selling the best tend to be clothing. It's hard to say if that's due to the fact that clothing's pretty overrepresented on the site right now. It's my goal that this is a place that's like equally accessible to hard goods and soft goods sellers, but we've had so much traction around clothing sellers that there is quite a lot of that inventory on the site. We have plenty of electronics, we've got home goods, we've got media. It's just not quite as overly represented as clothing is, so it's not selling as much. Probably proportionately though, it's in check.
And we will get more hard goods. I'm working on that.
If you're looking for remotes, and also we're just making sure that we're catering to sellers who have hard goods in terms of offering, freight shipping. We're offering basically we're allowing you to emphasize local pickup too if things are heavy. So we want to make sure that this is a place for both buyers of hard goods and soft goods. But the thing that's like selling freakishly well right now is men's neckties. So if you've got them, list them. And
I could tell you why that's, I could tell you why, but I won't go there. I
don't want to know.
So after the auction is submitted for review, can you edit it? Like rotate a photo, move stuff around?
Great question. So I'm going to quickly share my screen if you guys will bear with me so I can show you exactly how to edit that. That's a great question.
Yep. And by the way, I can answer this one. If you already have bids, just like eBay, it's not going to let you edit anything because people have bid based on what you had in there to begin with.
Precisely. Yeah, that's exactly right. So once a bid's been placed, you can consider that a binding sale. That sale is happening and that person is obligated to pay, so you can't change anything about the listing. But prior to a bid being placed, you can go to your My Lots. Oh, you know what? I'm on the wrong tab. Sorry, guys.
None of my neckties yet. No, people said it's because it must be my neckties. No,
no, everybody's got, like, everybody's neckties are selling. So people have them and people want them. So when I have an auction, a lot that's up for auction, I can go to my lots page, which again is the home page when you log in. And underneath each lot, there's an options button. I can edit my lot, which allows me to edit some superficial things. So title, description, price, and shipping. You can edit all of those without any interference or oversight from us. If you want to instead change quantity, images, or the types of items that are included, at that point, we ask you to revert it to a draft and resubmit it to us because we want to make sure that the price is in keeping with what you've uploaded, that all the items that are in there are appropriate and suitable for the site. So the way you do that is, so for those sort of, like I say, superficial kind of high level items, you can edit those and just hit save changes and they'll be live updated on the site. If, let's say, I wanted to remove some of these items from this lot that I have listed, I would go to revert to draft, confirm I'd revert to draft. And then I can see that it's now back in that draft state, which means it hasn't been submitted. And I could actually change anything about these items, delete an item, add an item, and then it'll just get resubmitted and approved once more. So there's sort of two gradations of editing. One that's for stuff where you're just like, I want to drop the price. It's already on auction. It's been there for a couple of days. It's not moving. Just hit edit from My Lots and you can drop that price. If you want to change the shipping dimensions, break it down into smaller parcels, you can do all that. But if you wanted to fundamentally change the contents of the lot, you have to revert to draft. Okay, great. What other questions do we have in here?
Down the road or in the future, are we looking at shorter auction times, like 3, 5, 7 days?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for reminding me of that. That's a feature that I didn't include in my little list. We are definitely going to allow for variable auction length. Just to get started, to make our lives easier, we said 7 days across the board, but we know that for some people, this is like, we want a speedy sale. We want this out, yesterday. And for those people that have the choice to pick between 1 day, 3 day, 7 day, it might be that there's actually a totally custom option. And we're going to survey people in our Facebook group once we're ready to build that about whether or not they prefer to have a purely customizable, like it can be any length you want, or if they prefer set auction days, if that makes things easier. On that note, I really encourage you guys, if you're not already in our Facebook group, to join, because that's where you can talk to us directly. You can share your thoughts. You can talk to other users. People are even talking about what kind of stuff they're looking for to source on there. So if you can keep an eye on, what might be good for you to add to the site. And also it's a place where we're polling people on, like, what do you want to see in this particular feature? So I see, what happens if your lot doesn't sell after auction? That's a great question. It doesn't go back to drafts at this time. Instead, it automatically renews. We're thinking that in the future, a ways down the line, and we'll give you plenty of notice about this, we will ask you to revise the price on your lot before you relist it. So we're going to basically give you the option to we're going to ask you to consciously look at the lot and then hit, yes, I want to resubmit for another 7 days. But for the time being, it just automatically resets for another 7 days and you don't have to worry about it at all. So if it didn't sell and you don't get a notification about a sale, you can assume that it's still up and live. Awesome. Okay, so people got to run, and that's totally fine. Buyer does pay shipping. That's a great one. And I'm just double checking that there aren't other questions in here we might have missed.
Is there, so now that's she's actually here in Florida with me. Things that people are looking for the most. Yeah, I think you just missed that, but neckties apparently are selling well. Generally the clothing, I think it's because we have the most of it, is what we sell the most of. A lot of people are, I would say 70% of my audience is clothing sellers. Men's tops do really well. When I can tell you from my experience previous to Haulsale, when I was on the Shopify site, men's button downs and polos do amazingly well. If you have any of those, they sell quick. Women's dresses, skirts, things, more formal, not like formal, like wedding formal, but like go out to a decent dinner formal, like anything like a little dressy does. Maxi dresses, summer dresses, pencil skirts, that sort of stuff sells off the chains if you can bundle that up.
Yeah. And I will say men's clothing, like I say, is overrepresented in terms of what's doing well, but so are collectibles, so are DVDs and VHSs doing well on the site right now. So really anything you want to try selling, so long as it's not on our prohibited items list, which you can find in our FAQ, you are welcome to list with us and give it a try. Terry asked, when they're sorting by ending soonest, it's showing closed auctions. When you are on the shop page on the left-hand menu, there's an option to hide finished auctions, and that will turn those off. I didn't go into that too deep because, like I say, we're actually redesigning the layout of the shop page in the coming weeks, and so that could change. But there, you can hide the sold auctions right now by doing that. Perfect. Any other questions coming in from YouTube or anything, Casey?
Yeah, YouTube question from Bear Kitty about VCR VHS combos. I don't know if there's any up there yet. I haven't seen, but I listed a few on the Shopify store before and they all sold. They're pretty heavy, so make sure that shipping on that was really close. Let's just leave it at that. So with the new calculated shipping, how soon till they can use that?
That is active right now. Any lot that you list, you have the option to add your calculated, your package dimensions. If you have a lot listed already, you can go back in and hit that edit button that I showed you to add those package dimensions so that your buyer can see calculated shipping. And I think there is a lot of VCR, VHS.
Okay.
DVD
so
combos.
do people, this is a great question. And this is one I don't actually know the answer to. Are people doing, like, let's say they had 20 VCR DVD combos. Are they doing like multiple boxes? Are they doing like a freight? Can they get a freight quote or?
So right now, what I'll tell you is that if it is above 150 pounds, you can reach out to me and I will manually process a freight quote for you. What we're going to do is that for things above 150 pounds in the future, you will be basically provided a quote automatically through a system called UShip. Some of you guys might be familiar with it. We don't have the freight automatic infrastructure in place just yet. So reach out to me manually if you're planning on shipping something freight. You also have the option though to break your package down into smaller parcels that are less than 150 pounds. And of course, with all those USPS oversized dimension things happening, if you are dealing with something that's huge, most likely your buyer is going to see a calculated UPS rate. Your buyer's always going to see the cheapest rate. If you input package dimensions that exceed traditional non-freight shipping, either I'll be monitoring it and see it and reach out to you, or if you want to ship something freight, you just know it's going to be less expensive, please reach out to me. And in the future, that'll happen automatically.
Perfect. Okay, that's actually a good question. Bear Kitty, thank you for that one. Appreciate it. I know a few other people had bigger lots too. We had a lot of big lots we had somebody who wanted to sell 1,000 pairs of jean shorts and cargo shorts, and about a half a pound each. That was 500 pounds, and they had them in like 20 boxes. So
it's one way to do it. I saw a question about seller protections.
Yep.
So right now the seller protection mechanism is fairly manual. I mentioned earlier that our protections on both sides are totally resolved in wholesale's discretion. This is our terms and conditions, and we are really managing things, especially as we pick up speed case by case. So we are going to be monitoring exactly what's going on in terms of buyer seller behavior. If we're seeing repeat patterns of buyer protection claims, the same buyers doing more than a few protection claims, we're going to start to be questioning of that. If a seller is repeatedly failing to fulfill on their listing as promised or not shipping on time, we're going to be mindful of that. And we reserve the right to ban people from the site. We want to definitely make sure that this is a community of resellers who are acting in good faith with one another. So the seller protection right now is essentially that we don't have returns. The only thing is that a buyer can open up a buyer protection case if it arrives damaged, if it is missing, or if the quantity is not as indicated, or if something that was on the manifest has been blatantly replaced with something else. So for instance, if you said you're getting, 25 hair dryers and 30 straighteners, and instead what came was 45 straighteners and only 10 hair dryers, that actually would open you up for a buyer protection claim because what was clearly indicated on the manifest is not in place. Like I say, that's all manually reviewed, and we want to make sure that everybody who's using our site right now is super happy. So if anything arises where you're dissatisfied, please let me know, and we'll do our best to make it right. And then we do explicitly have that buyer protection thing in place. I hope that answers that question.
Yeah, that's right. That's it. Yeah.
Great.
Awesome. Okay, so I don't see anybody else on YouTube. Last chance. Aaron, thank you. Now for you, Bear Kitty. Thank you, all three of you and four of you, and Aaron S. and Angela. Appreciate everyone who did take a second to watch on YouTube. I know it was last minute that we kind of decided on the YouTube thing. So, yep. And then everybody over on the webinar, appreciate you taking the time to register and actually sign in. So that's cool too. I think that's all that I have. Emma, is there anything else that you have?
I think that was most of what I wanted to cover. And I want you guys to know that you're welcome to reach out to me via email or on my Facebook. If we're friends, we're in the group, any way you like. This is my job. It's just talking to people. And I want to hear not only questions, but feedback. And even if it's negative, we want to know so we can improve. And I hope that you can be patient with us in terms of if there are delays or, glitches on the site, let us know so that we can fix them. But we're working very hard to build this site out to be as big and as good as we know it will be, but we are a small team and it's taking a little bit of time. So your patience as we work on this is so appreciated. And of course, your time tonight, as we went really long and it's a Friday, is really appreciated.